Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Time and Space, the Nerd Party's dedicated Doctor Who podcast. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Phillip Gilfus. Well, we have coming up next month in July, a con that we will be going to.
We're running a con because we're grifters in our everyday life.
And it's actually, I can't remember the name of it because it's changed.
Galaxy Con.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what
Galaxy
it's called.
Con Raleigh or something?
I think it's just Galaxy Con.
Anyway, yeah, it's formerly known as SuperCon, I believe, in Raleigh.
Yeah, I had an email from them today, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, there's actually going to be 1 billion people there, as far as guests go.
And then another 6 or 7 billion there as customers?
Sure, con-goers.
Attendees.
Yes. So from the Doctor Who verse, we have David Tennant.
Yep.
Catherine Tate.
Now that she's dipped her toe in, she appears to be like, hey, we can make money at this.
And Billy Piper.
Yes.
And I got tickets for us to have our picture taken with Billy Piper.
Yay.
So I figured we were...
So we have to practice our choreographed moves too.
Oh, her song.
Her song.
Oh, Lordy. That's a cosplay. I'll look up that music video again and see if she realizes it.
She will if you're wearing it, I'm sure.
I figured that it could complete or start our, since we perhaps without knowing it, started a companion series of photos. So we already have Catherine Tate from Gallifrey 1, and so now we'll be getting Billy Piper at Galaxy Con.
Yep.
And so I guess we'll go from there. So Freema, if you're out there, let us know.
Yep. Or
complete our
Pearl
David Tennant
Mackie.
set, yeah.
Because we were supposed to have our picture made with her.
But she
at Gallifrey
had other work.
But she ran far away.
And I also got a photo for the Star Trek section. There's actually going to be a decent amount, but Jonathan Frakes and Will Wheaton will be doing a duo photo set.
Oh,
with
is
them.
it a duo
Yeah.
photo? Aw. I'm very excited. I assumed that Will Wheaton was there for the Stephen King contingency. Because that's where I know him best.
Oh. Well, I figured Jonathan Frakes, from the director's standpoint. And
I'm going to be like, I loved Luke and Laura's wedding.
He was not a part of that.
No, but his wife was.
I know.
So,
but he doesn't like to be
enough.
reminded of people snogging his wife. And other things, if I remember that storyline.
I think the storyline's still going on in places.
We'd also watched, in the past week or two, some Doctor Who music. We watched an old Proms, Doctor Who Proms.
Oh, yeah.
During Matt Smith's tenure. That was on his Blu-ray set.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I enjoy the Proms.
Mm-hmm. And then, because there's actually one of my favorite ones. It was during the David Tennant years. And I think maybe it was his last year. Because they did this great version of, I forget the name of the song from Doctor Who. Something like Gallifrey something. But then, when that music is playing, and they have clips of all the Doctors, 1 through 9, and then it goes to Validation, his closing number, so then it goes into his closing, the 10th Doctor's closing. So it's a very cool number just to get all those Doctors up to that point in one little thing. I can't find it on YouTube, so I don't know. But anyway, there should just be a Doctor Who Proms release. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But speaking of Doctor Who releases, that was just announced in the past 24 hours that there's a new Blu-ray, classic Doctor Who Blu-ray release coming out, which surprised me, and that is Season 23. That is the last series of Colin Baker as the 6th Doctor, so that will be coming out soonly, and it's very apropos because it is what,
It is Tuesday.
Right. In what month?
It is the month of June.
Which is the 6th month.
It's busting out all over.
Which means it's 6 every monthly series of talking about doctors. So we will be talking about the 6th Doctor, especially, as always, using the Clever Dick Films YouTube documentary of each of the Doctors. And so we recently watched the Colin Baker era from Richard Carrier, and it talked about a lot of stuff. It seemed actually, I don't know if it really was longer than the other ones, but it seemed longer. Or it seemed long.
I don't know.
In a good way.
Yeah, it didn't seem particularly long, but like you said, that might be because I really enjoyed it. And, I tend to enjoy his anyway. But this one was surprising to me.
Right.
Because, Colin Baker.
Well, and again, I feel I've unfairly influenced you. And actually, though, when we look at it, you've probably seen most of the 6th Doctor. Because there's really not a lot. I mean, for listeners who know, but there's season 21, which is just one story, the Twin Dilemma. That's all.
Right.
At least as far as Colin Baker's concerned.
I've seen that.
Then there's season 22, which is a proper one. And we've seen bits and pieces, and we haven't seen everyone together, but we've seen, every 6th Doctor you've seen that's not Twin Dilemma has been from that.
Yeah.
And you've certainly seen a few. And then, of course, we watched one half of Trial of Time Lord. But then we had also seen the 3rd episode, Terror of the Vervoids, if I'm saying that correctly. And that was because it was Mel's first appearance.
Yes.
And we watched that some time ago, so you may or not remember that. But anyway, so you just haven't seen the last installment.
Yeah.
But all that's to say is you've seen the majority, so I feel like you can probably form your own opinion on this one.
Yeah, and I'm torn, and partly we're going to talk about...
Sure. Well, let's just get into it.
Yeah.
So, of course, as with most of these documentaries that Richard does, choosing the new Doctor, of course, Peter Davison says, I'm done, and so at this point, John Nathan Turner, J&T, is looking for a new Doctor, and he finds Colin Baker, who
happens to be nearby because he's already been in a Doctor Who episode, playing a bad guy.
Yeah, which we've seen.
Yes, we have seen that one too. You make me watch a lot of television.
Now you get all the references. But I think it was interesting because I didn't know really anything about Colin Baker before Doctor Who, other than being in Doctor Who. So I didn't realize he had this sort of baddie reputation for roles.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, obviously he was a bad guy in that Doctor Who episode. And apparently had to be fussed at and told to slow his roll a little bit.
Hey, isn't that the thing as a director? I don't want you to do too little. Do too much, and then I'll rein you back.
Yes, so and he had to be reined back.
Right.
Yeah. For chewing the furniture.
Right.
Basically, and overshadowing everybody else. But, yeah, I found it interesting, all of the turmoil. Interesting and quite sad.
Right. Yeah, and so it seemed, choosing Colin Baker, simple enough, I suppose, in as much as things, whatever. Casting is casting. Then it was interesting, and I guess we've seen it a little bit up to this point, how much the actors, it seems, have a say about what their Doctor will be like. And I don't know if that's just a British thing or a Doctor Who thing, but it just seems like, in America, you're just pretty much told, I don't know.
Although it doesn't appear like he had nearly as much say as previously.
Right. Well, yeah, because I mean, just this, obviously I'm picking my franchise, and Doctor Who I know is its own animal, but I don't think when Star Trek Discovery, I can't even think of the guy's name, Anson Mount didn't say this is what I want Chris Pike to be like, they're just just read the script.
No, but I think particularly with Doctor Who, it's got to be important in terms of collaboration, because you've got to see what new things people are going to bring to it. And if you cast somebody and then decide what new things you're going to bring without that person, the fit might not be right. Mm-hmm. And so talking to them, I think, is sort of required to.
And it seemed, at least from both from this video and what little I know, that at least Baker, not to be confused with Tom Baker, but I'll just say Baker, Colin Baker. Baker did seem to have a lot of say in what we did see. Now, I guess the biggest sticking point is perhaps the most obvious, as in literally the most obvious, and that is costume.
Yes. Which is pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And that apparently was the writer's choice.
You have someone, like whether it was JNT or whatever, or yeah.
But apparently nobody liked it.
Right. Except for, And so, I mean, its costume can be king sometimes. First impressions, all that. I mean, as much as in a character and everything else. So they showed a picture in the YouTube video, which I didn't know if that was an actual picture, if someone had photoshopped that of him in the black velvet.
Yeah, which I thought was nice.
It was. And it made me think, so this whole, like, the Doctor's going to be more alien or more mysterious, sort of, again, reactive from the last Doctor. Five and Peter Davison are very, nice and gentle and whatever, so we're going to be the opposite of that. We're not going to be nice and all that, and whatever. Though it in a lot of ways reminds me of the 12th Doctor and Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
Of we're not going to, which again, reaction to the 11th Doctor. Everyone's floppy young boyfriend or whatever, but to have the older, I don't like hugs and
curmudgeon-y.
Yes, and so it kind of reminded me of the 6th Doctor. But again, my my thing with, which again I'm not a fan of, but I guess I can appreciate that you're going to do that. But what they mentioned in the video is what I didn't appreciate, is literally in the first story where you have him trashing his previous incarnation and then saying, I'm the Doctor, whether you want it or not. And I'm like, well, I'd rather not then. So,
yeah.
I mean,
if I get to choose. And beating up on Peri. Literally trying to kill her. And, look, it's one of those situations. Come on, don't make me root for Peri here. Don't make me feel bad for her, because she's possibly my least favorite companion ever in the history of the world.
Wow. So Mel versus Peri.
Oh, no.
Still, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You take Mel over Peri.
Oh, every day.
Okay.
Every day.
So, yeah, and I guess that was actually one thing that was mentioned. You don't have to have a existing companion for a new Doctor, but they were like, she didn't necessarily help.
Yes, and again, it wasn't a slant against her. No. It was just that her character wasn't developed enough with the 5th Doctor for us all then to be like, oh yeah, we can trust Peri's judgment of this person. Mm-hmm. And so we hadn't seen enough of her to give the audience some sort of stability.
Right.
Which is fair, because every time we see her, she's screaming or aerobicizing.
Right. So, it's also the video talked a little bit about, well, and I don't know if this is Richard's editorializing or not, so, take it for what it's worth, but we, certainly appreciate his point of view. He definitely seemed worked up in this episode, in a good way. He had opinions.
Yes, he did.
Which is fine. That's how we
I can get behind opinions.
But that was basically saying that the script editor had basically checked out, Eric Seward, if I'm saying that name correctly, had basically checked out and said, but instead of leaving, he just didn't try. It was, so Richard
or specifically tried to sabotage, all the way up to his leaving. Mm-hmm. Where he was in the middle of a serial and was like, I'm out, and you can't use any of my scripts from here on out.
Yep, in a serialized serial.
Yes. So, pick it up where you want to.
Yeah. And then again, the backdrop from previous with the 5th Doctor, this whole, the woman, the campaign.
The crazy.
Violence and...
Yeah. Crazy lady.
So there was sort of a lot of spotlight on the Doctor Who program at this point. Is it too violent?
So much so that, and that wasn't the only reason, but of course then BBC tries to cancel it.
Yes.
Which leads to a very unfortunate charity record produced.
Right.
Which, if you haven't seen, you must go find.
Doctor in Distress.
Doctor in Distress. I presume it's on YouTube somewhere.
Yep.
Please understand that this recommendation is much like the recommendation of, The Ring, in that somebody else has to see this so I can survive.
Okay.
To get it out of my head. Yeah.
Though there's a part of me that does have a slightly bemused about an 18th month
Hiatus, yeah.
I mean, it hasn't been that bad, but Modern Who was not much better.
No, but this is the first time they've done it.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think I'm, beyond what the...
And BBC's gotten quirkier since then.
Yeah, I was going to say, other than what the Fringe would say, I don't think Doctor Who's actually in trouble, by any means. But this whole, we'll have, 10 episodes every 1.5 years or something. I'm like, I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, Phillip and I run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, sheesh.
I know.
So,
give us more.
Well, let's talk about some spotlights here on the seasons here.
Okay.
So, season 21, as I said, was the Twin Dilemma. With the choice here, instead of it starting a new Doctor with a new series, it was actually the end of the 5th Doctor series.
Yes.
It was introducing the new Doctor, and which, I don't know, I mean, 6 of one, half of one the other. I mean, I can, whatever.
It could have worked beautifully.
Right.
The choice of this particular episode, I don't think did anybody any favors.
Right, and it's probably been a while since you watched it, but I know you've seen this one, but it's, again, I don't know, people always say it's the worst episode of Doctor Who. I don't think it's the worst episode of Doctor Who. There are worse ones.
Probably.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not particularly great.
And you need great
right.
if you are going to introduce a new character and then bugger off for the summer halls.
Because, I mean, Castrovalva, I don't think is a great 5th Doctor. He's in a box for half the serial and in a zero room in the other half and in a, whatever you call that painting by that person where the stairs are upside down.
An MC Escher.
Yes. I mean, and so it's like, I don't know what I learned other than raveling, making the scarf come out. That's about unraveling the scarf. That's about it, and the new costume. So, but anyway, that's all to say was not a great intro, and also actually it was. I mean, to me, it was, as I've mentioned, rather grating intro.
Yes,
I'm totally going to be different. I hate everyone. I hate you. Blah. Let's go do a new season.
And also Peri's here, so that's obnoxious. And such a, they don't, and Richard Carrier talks about this as well. The 5th Doctor sacrificed himself so that Peri could live. And then the 6th Doctor immediately tries to kill Peri, and then everybody moves on. Right. There's no real sort of summation of any of this. There's no resolution at all. There's no denouement, if you will.
Right. And I'm having to go back to every Doctor ever up till this point. The first, or the regeneration, so 2 through 5 at that point. How out of sorts are they? How long does it take them to find themselves? Because I think even Modern Who, or, New Who, to use the term. I'm thinking of the 10th Doctor, who was in bed half his introduction.
Yes.
Yep. But, he took a second to find himself. But they all take a while to find themselves. Some longer than others. 12 took a long time, in my opinion.
Yes.
To find themselves, or for us to get used to him. Again, maybe 6 of one. But yeah, it was so out of sorts and so whatever, without any explanation. Which, again, Classic Who doesn't necessarily known for its...
And again, if you think about Tennant's first episode where he's in bed the whole time, but he has a whole cast of people. It's not just his companion, who is incredibly well established, but it's her mother and her boyfriend. You've got this whole family sort of thing. And actually, I think that with Capaldi, one of the difficulties in finding his character, and one of the reasons it took so long, is actually the flip problem. I thought Clara was great with the 11th Doctor, but she didn't fit with the 12th. Mm-hmm. And so that first season was figuring out that they just didn't work together.
Well, looking at season 22, I was just trying to scan which ones we had seen off the top of my head, which is probably going to be wrong. there are 6 serials. Sorry, I'm using my phone as I talk. Attack of the Cybermen, which I think we've seen, but I'm not 100% sure. Vengeance on Varos, which was the sort of in-focus episode for Richard Carrier's video, but which I don't think we've actually seen together. The Mark of the Ronnie, which we did see.
We did see.
The Two Doctors, which we saw. Time Lash, I can't remember if we've seen that. I want to say no. And then Revelation of the Daleks, which we have seen.
Okay.
That's because I think that's the one where the... maybe we haven't. Maybe I'm wrong. I was just trying to think of the one where the TARDIS actually turns into something else besides a police box. You know, it turns into a cabinet.
Yeah.
Is
that with
or maybe
him?
that's Attack of the Cybermen. Anyway, I can't remember. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is with him.
Okay. Well, yeah, we've seen that one. In fact, we've seen it twice.
Yeah. So, but in any case, so those were some of the ones just to pick your brain on that.
You need to be saying anywho at this point.
Yes.
Because otherwise, what is the purpose of this podcast?
Well, like, one thing that was mentioned by the video, like, the Two Doctors, which I thought was such a missed opportunity. Well, I was going to say it's not terrible. It's not great, in my opinion. But, you know, it's you have the second Doctor and Jamie, and they just don't use them. And it's, ugh.
Yeah, that's hard to watch.
I mean, it was cool to have them, and I think, as the video says, you know, Pat Troughton's doing great as the second Doctor. But it's just a missed opportunity.
And apparently, Fraser Hines is doing amazing. Everybody loves a little Fraser Hines, including Fraser Hines.
Well, and I thought there was one point that I thought was interesting, is that maybe the Sixth Doctor needed a second companion.
Yes. Yeah, they talk about having Jamie as a second companion, at least briefly. And yeah, I think that again, even if you'd added somebody new, but Peri was so unestablished, and what establishment she did have was damsel in distress.
Right. And I don't, mean to stereotype, but I'm just talking about the characters as I view them. You know, the Doctor's arrogant, which you could say the Doctor's always arrogant, but like the Sixth Doctor, in my opinion, is super arrogant. And then Peri is whiny, super whiny, and so when you have that too, it's just not very interesting.
Yeah.
In bits and pieces it can be interesting, but when that's all you hear, so maybe having that third person as either a peacemaker or moving things along might have helped.
Some sort of stability.
Yeah.
This would have been an excellent time to bring on that guy that was in, was it with the Fifth Doctor, maybe? That they were like, he ended up being kind of superfluous.
I know who you're talking about, I think. I think you're talking about the Fourth Doctor, the other Doctor, in the beginning of the Fourth Doctor's run, where it was him, Sarah Jane. I can't remember his name.
But there was a guy.
Yeah, because he was sort of supposed to be the Ian.
Yes, yeah. And
I can't believe
then wasn't, because the Fourth Doctor was...
Harry Sullivan came to me.
Yeah.
Harry Sullivan. That's who you're thinking of.
They needed to bring Harry back. This would have been a good place. He would have done well here, where he didn't do with the Fourth Doctor.
And then season 23, which again, coming out on Blu-ray. Trial of the Time Lord.
Oh, God, I hate it.
So, sort of, again, this is coming after the 18th month, involuntary hiatus. Mm-hmm. In some ways, is the trial a metaphor for the series in and of itself?
Yeah.
And, I think it's an interesting idea, a premise to...
It feels like a compilation episode.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, we have this trial, so we're going to look back at all the things and we're going to show clips from previous shows.
Right.
That's what it feels like it wants to be, almost. Mm-hmm. But it's not. And I don't like it.
Yeah. No, we'll talk about them in a second here. So, but yeah, as a premise, because as I remember, because like I said, we've watched the 3 stories in the recent time, two of them in the past 2 weeks,
yep.
And the third one in the past year at least. The fourth one has been a while, though I remember it as being a lot of wandering around. We'll watch it at some point. But so I'm not going to spoil it. But it is a sort of a lot of. It reminds me of the Fourth Doctor, Deadly Assassin, where he gets trapped in sort of this is when the Gallifrey, he shot the president or thought he did. Yeah. But he gets trapped in this sort of dream scenario or the Matrix or whatever. And it's just sort of all this metaphorical, because he's anyway. It kind of reminds me of what the fourth one is like, because it's the Sixth Doctor having to travel in this. I forget what kind of Matrix world. Maybe the Matrix again, because without spoiling, we're watching the Matrix. It's not working. It's been tampered with. You learn ultimately.
Yeah.
And so anyway, blah 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 blah. But yeah, so
yeah,
good idea. But again, as they explained, as we mentioned earlier, they didn't really have the ending maybe they wanted, because they didn't have the ending they wanted because people died or left or quit.
The writer ran off and
yeah,
left his lawyers there.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts about the video before we go in focus?
Nope.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the 2 serials we did watch. So, as we said, we watched the Trial of the Time Lord parts 1 through 8, basically. The first 4 are known as The Mysterious Planet, and the second 4 are known as Mind Warp, informally, I suppose. So let's go Mysterious Planet. We don't have to necessarily go through everything, but anyway, what did you think of that one? This is the Doctor and Peri. We have a synopsis. You don't have to read the whole thing, but how would you sort of synopsis the synopsis?
Yeah, I was just trying to, because obviously it's the
glitz,
in the trial, so there's that.
Oh yeah, the introduction of the trial. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, trying to figure out. See, I didn't mind the story. Again, I thought there were a lot of moving parts. Mm-hmm. You had the robot guy, and then the people who lived above ground, and then the people who lived below ground, and then the 2 bad guys who were trying to rob them. There were a lot of moving parts.
Right.
And I didn't think it needed that much, particularly if you're going to condense it, because you're chucking this trial thing around as well.
Mm-hmm. So you're thinking this story could have survived on its own without the trial.
Oh, yeah. And I think I get the impression that that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
All of them can. Every single one of them. The next one we watch, this one's a little bit, because there's the Doctor's memory thing.
Right.
But we'll come to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I thought absolutely this one could have stood on its own. No problem. Earth destroyed. The people underground think that they're the only ones who have survived. The people above ground.
Not an uncommon story.
Not an uncommon story at all.
I was just trying to remember which one that was.
The people above ground are Vikings, I think.
Uh-huh.
And
it's the second Doctor story. I was trying to remember which story that is. It's where the second... Pat Troughton plays the other part, and he goes down to the basement where there's the survivor.
Oh, right.
And he's like, oh, yeah, no, it's still bad up there. Don't go up there.
Yeah.
And then he goes... Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it's a pretty standard sci-fi trope, isn't it?
Sort of like the time machine,
Yeah, and so they're warring, and the robot's a bad guy, and the robot also has a robot dragon or dinosaur or something, and they get rid of that pretty soon. And I'm not 100% sure what the 2 bad guy, whatever they are.
Oh, the I don't know what to call them.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing there other than exposition.
Oh, okay.
Because the one guy would ask a question, and the second guy would give this long, drawn-out explanation so that we have the backstory, and then the first guy would be like, I know all that! What about this? And the same thing would happen over again. So that was a little weird.
And then also when you have glitches in the story, because the Matrix was being messed with, it worked, but then I'm like... stuff doesn't pay off for another 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So I guess you're planting a seed, right? But because then I don't think there was any seeds planted in the next 4. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Other than but anyway, so you thought the Mysterious Planet in and of itself was fine?
Yep.
Yeah,
it was fine.
I thought it was. Yeah, it was.
I can live with it.
Sure. All right. So Mind Warp,
yep.
otherwise known as Brian Blessed's in this one.
You can't say it like that.
Okay.
You have to say, Brian Blessed! Like that. That's the only way you can pronounce his name. That is how it is pronounced. show some respect.
Yes. Also known as the Peri's last appearance, darling.
Yes. Which I'm grateful for and also a little confused by.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, you know.
Are they going to wrap that up? Or are we going to find out? Or is she just off being bald and stuff?
They explain it at the end.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, 'cause
is she alive? Is this one of those that we have to count as, oh no, Doctor killed her?
Well, we'll find out. We'll find. I don't want to take it away from you. But just know that the Doctor believes she is dead, and everyone else thinks she's dead.
Okay, that suggests she's not.
So.
Okay, good times.
Though she may have suffered a fate worse than death, as you may find out. So.
Even better.
But yeah, this one, I guess I didn't understand. And again,
I liked the little glowworm thingies.
Yeah. I mean, there's for effects and characters. I mean, to have the two glowworm people and the other glowworm guy turns into another glowworm guy because they transfer his brain. I mean, because you're sitting there thinking about like that's I mean they're obviously the actors, but I mean that's cool. Like we're playing with aliens.
Yes. Again, too many players. Mm-hmm. You've got Brian Blesseds, Viking people,
right? And
one of whom is now a dog.
That guy freaks me out. That's that guy because he looks more like a burn victim than a dog.
But he's definitely a dog.
Grosses me out.
And then you have the rebels,
right.
And then you have the glowworm people,
right? Then you have the doctors,
and then you have the doctors. And I feel like one of the glowworm people is sort of like, oh no, this is all terrible. But maybe it's because he just wants to take control. It's a lot of moving parts once more.
Yes.
And again, if we're not getting a cohesive story because it's broken up by this stupid trial thing, mm-hmm. although the lady sounds like Judi Dench, so that's pleasant.
Inquisitor.
That is pleasing
mm-hmm.
to the ear.
Mm-hmm.
So it can make it difficult to follow.
Because I guess what I don't get, or I mean I get it, but I don't know. You tell me. So the part in this,
I will tell you.
The part in this story where either at the end of the first or second, it's not that many parts. Yeah, it is 4 parts. At the end of the first or second episode, the Doctor gets kind of brain fried or whatever. But after that, he kind of is like turncoat, like he turns on everyone, and then he's with the bad guys and all that. What happened? Was he really faking that the whole time?
Yeah, I'm not clear. I don't know.
And then at the end-ish, he's like, no, I'm rescuing you. This is a jailbreak. Yeah, let's go get Peri, who I've left alone for 2 episodes and who's now getting killed as I speak. It seems like he wasn't certainly trying that hard. And since it's been a while since I've seen it, I didn't know if it was going to be explained like, he got brain fried, and
but recovered, or yeah,
or what? I mean, otherwise, it kind of reminds me of Deep Breath, the 12th Doctor's first episode, when he abandons Clara, if you remember, when they're in the basement, and the gate's closing, and he's like, bye, and then she's left with, and she has to hold her breath, and and eventually he shows up again, but sort of you have that moment of like, well, who is this Doctor,
And what is wrong with him?
Now, supposedly he's also getting memory problems during the trial part.
Yes, and I assumed that was part of the brain fry.
I don't know.
Because then he was like, oh yeah, it's coming back to me. But then he's like, hey, tell me what happened to Peri. And he was, I don't know. I don't like this.
Yeah, and maybe I'm rationalizing. Maybe if I watch the third part again, or, the third story and the fourth story, it'll all make sense, but I have a feeling it will not.
It may well not. Particularly now that we know that the idea behind the story arc ultimately had to be changed because of staffing issues.
What'd you think of the Veil Yard? Or I'm not saying that correctly, probably, but the prosecutor.
Yeah, whatever. I just don't care enough.
And so any concluding thoughts about the Sixth Doctor era as a whole?
I feel more generous towards the Sixth Doctor, having watched the little documentary.
Mm-hmm. Feel a little sorry for Colin.
I do, yeah. And I hate Peri. She is my least favorite companion. I don't know if I've mentioned that.
Yeah, and I just don't... I mean, I know the theory, as they said, but you can't have a long-term theory. But that's what they had. Same thing, I think the same thing they did with the 12th Doctor, though perhaps maybe with better outcomes. It's like, oh, we're going to introduce this sort of doctor that you might not like, but stick with us, because then things will happen. I'm like, but then I'm not going to stick with you, because why would I?
Yeah.
So,
particularly if I already don't like or am wildly uninterested in the companion.
Yeah, so I mean, watching a lot of these episodes, I think one thing that argues for the Sixth Doctor era is they changed the format a lot. So there's like, it's 2-parter 30 minutes or 2-parter 40. Like, they're easier to digest than other classic Who.
Yeah.
So, they fooled me into watching them that way. And, it's not horrible. I'm not like, ugh. But, the Sixth Doctor still remains my least favorite Doctor.
Well, there you go.
Well, with that, we're going to go into the TARDIS library.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
When you close your eyes,
I go to the library.
go to the library now.
For this one, we're doing another book review. I finished reading The Sands of Time by Justin Richards, which was originally came out in 1996 and I think was reissued in 2014. This is a Fifth Doctor adventure.
Okay.
Featuring Nyssa and Tegan. On the whole, was good.
Hold on. Can I read the synopsis
Oh, yeah,
on
please
the back?
read the synopsis for us. Darren.
Okay. The Doctor is in Victorian London with Nyssa and Tegan, a city shrouded in mystery. When Nyssa is kidnapped in the British Museum, the Doctor and Tegan have to unlock the answers to a series of ancient questions. Blue, no green, no Their quest leads them across continents and time as an ancient Egyptian prophecy threatens future England. To save Nyssa, the Doctor must foil the plans of the mysterious Sadan Rasul. But as mummies stalk the night, an ancient terror stirs in its tomb. And this is Thriller.
Are you my mummy?
Thriller now.
So one thing it's not a criticism, but if you're going to read this book, or if you're going to get this book, so you have to rewatch some episodes. And not having rewatched them, you could still enjoy the story, but you're obviously going to enjoy it more if you've seen the Fourth Doctor, Pyramid of Mars, and the Fifth Doctor. I don't remember the series the serial off the top of my head, but it's the time period where Nyssa meets her, not her literal twin, but a girl that looks like her.
Doppelganger.
Yeah, I mean, they just happen to look alike, as happens a lot in all of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
People all look like people, apparently. But anyway, I can't remember. It's like in...
To Time Lords, we all look alike.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't remember that serial. But watch those two, and then you'll be ready to read this book. This book also tries to do a lot of time jumping, but in and of itself. So, for instance, when the Doctor... So Nyssa gets kidnapped, just as you read. So it's basically the Doctor and Tegan for the majority of the time. So if you don't like Tegan, get over it. She's actually not that bad in this book. But they'll meet people and they'll be like, hi, and they're like, no, we know you already. And like, oh, and they'll go to a hotel and like, oh yes, nice to see you again. Here's your hotel. Like, your room's still good. And people are like, oh, and so that they've, this is just people who they met, like, oh, we saw you yesterday or something. So there's all, and then eventually they sort of get the time loop, and then there's all this sort of time jumping. There's a lot of time jumps in the book. Now, it's all marked, like the chapter heading will be like, 1976 or 1924 or, 50,000 BC or, something. But there's a lot of that. So if you're someone who prefers linear storytelling, you're going to have trouble with this one.
Of course, if you're someone who prefers linear storytelling, Doctor Who might not be the best place for you to begin with.
But this is in and of itself sort of Back to the Future 2ing. They don't literally encounter themselves, but, making all the timelines make sense, because then they're encountering people or generations of people or whatever. And so it's not confusing per se, but you may want to have scratch paper.
A bit full on.
Yes. So, as a whole, it was fine. I wouldn't criticize it in any severe manner.
Okay.
So, it's if you like the Fifth Doctor, or Doctor Who in general, or Classic Who in general, and there's other stories I mentioned. I mean, it's all about mummies in Egypt, so, there you go.
Who doesn't love that?
Right. So, yeah. So it was interesting. Maybe a little... it was actually a little violent at the end there, and there's a little bit of a death count. So I was a little surprised at some of that. But there you go, I guess. It happens in Doctor Who, as we've discussed.
It does. It does. Mary West something.
Yeah,
not happy.
But she's dead now, so...
Yeah. Probably not happy about that either.
Right. Well, it depends where she is, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't forget to like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/thenerdparty, and please comment on today's episode. We enjoy listening and reading to listeners' thoughts.
Absolutely.
Jessica will read them out loud, and I'll listen.
Yep.
And you can follow us on the network Twitter at Join Nerd Party, and let us know your thoughts there. And as always, we want to thank Wally and the Sononauts for providing us with their jazz cover of the Doctor Who theme tune.
We hope you enjoy it.
So until next week, enjoy reading, watching, and listening to the Doctor's adventures throughout time and space.
This is BBC Television.